guys, I'm the Deej. You know, usually I get a much better reaction than that. But isn't that great? That's what I want. Somebody said they saw Tom Cruise yesterday. You think Tom Cruise comes up and says, hey, I'm Tom Cruise, place goes wild. That's what I want. So I want to teach you a little trick on how to do that. First of all, before I get started, let's give a big round of applause. Scott, that was awesome. Michael, thank you so much. That was really great setting this whole thing up. Now, you know what that was? That was just a cheap way of getting applause, wasn't it? You see, I got the applause for giving the credit to you. What people don't realize is that giving compliments to others makes you look good. And it's the best way for you to gain instant rapport without appearing desperate, sweaty, and totally repulsive. By the way, I was going to rename this. It's really how to sell yourself, because that's exactly what it is. When you're in any situation, there's a transaction taking place. Either you're buying, usually a product or ideas, or you're selling a product or ideas, right? Say yes. That's it. So if you can do that without looking sweaty and repulsive, you got an instant in. And by the time we get done with this presentation, each and every one of you is going to know exactly how to create that perfect first impression. Pretty cool? All right, now listen, you gotta get involved with me. That's it. And I don't care if you agree or not. I'm from New Jersey. It doesn't matter to me. It's impossible to offend. Anybody from New Jersey? Yeah, who cares? You know, and it's true. People from New Jersey, they're kind of just mean in a good way, but they're direct, but they're kind of mean. I actually went to a high school reunion. I got to tell you the story. It was a 30-year high school reunion. Yeah, I hadn't seen these people in 30 years. I see Michael Bucksbaum. Michael Bucksbaum, he calls me over. He says, hey, Deej, he goes, you know who's asking about you? I said, who? He said, no one. And I talked to a lot of people. They're just mean, but you got to stay with me, all right? Here we go. You know who this guy is? Now, how would you know him? He's like my high school science teacher. There's no way you can know. His name is Mr. McCubbin. Taught me something really important. And he was one of those guys, he was an army guy, he was a religious man, and this was back in school when they actually talked about that, and he was there, and not for every test, but for final exams, for the real important ones, he would make you take the test, but you also have to fill out this little form. He called it an honor code. Have you ever done this? Basically it says that no one helped me take this test. So I handed in my final exam in 7th grade. I was a terrible student, by the way. In 7th grade, I sent it in, and I said, Mr. McCubbin, I'm a wise guy, I go, I can't sign this thing. And he goes, well, why is that? And I said, well, before I took the test, I asked for help. And he said, from whom? And I said, from God. He says, give me that thing. So he takes the test, he rifles through it, doesn't even look up at me. He says, go ahead, fill that thing out. He said, God didn't help you at all. I failed the test. And he said, Danny, and he called me Danny, he said, Danny, if you don't do the work, if you don't get involved, if you don't live right now and just take this test right now and prepare, you're going to fail not only this test, you're going to fail in life. In life. So that's what I want from you. I want you just for the next few minutes to hang out with me, get involved. I promise it is something that will last the rest of your life. You with me? Say yes. Yes. You got to say yes. By the way, Scott, that was awesome. He did that yes and thing. Here's what happens. When you're in an improv thing, if you say no, your brain just shuts off. It's just done. If you said, you know, here I am at the park, and the guy says, no, you're not, you're like, you're dead. But if you say yes, if you could just say yes, your world is opened to opportunities. Say yes right now. Yes. Yes. Boom. See, you're the best. All right. And I know you can do this because 98% of the people that you're going to meet in this world are, just scream something out. They're human. They're human. You know exactly how they're going to act. You know exactly, because most of you are one of them, you know? Is someone going to ask the obvious question? Lawyers. And it's absolutely true. Have you ever dealt with them? A nightmare. Because every single one of you, I know this for a fact, without even knowing, you has stopped your car, turned around, bought lemonade from 2 girls on the side of the road, and here's the kicker. You weren't even thirsty, were you? You know why you did that? Because you're human. You know who doesn't do that? Lawyers, absolutely. You're with me. Okay, so you don't want to know how really to sell yourself. That's the whole trick. Everybody says, oh, you need to learn little sales tricks. You don't want to really sell yourself. You want to learn why people buy and why people buy you, why people will believe you. And I've got the answer. What do you think of that? First, there's only 4 reasons. Ready? Here it is. The first is they like you. That's right. Is that a good one? Yeah, they got to like. The second is they trust you. Now here, just by a show of hands, who thinks it's trust is most important? Who thinks it's like is most important? Yeah, okay, now just the women. Okay? How many of you women have ever gone out on a second date, not a first date, a second date with a guy that you didn't like at all, but you trusted him? Yeah, it's like, all right? It starts and ends with like. By the way, my wife told me make sure I stand up straight. If I don't stand up straight, please tell me. I need it, all right? So there, they like you, they trust you. Third is they believe you. They can believe you do the job. For those of you who are looking for work and looking for jobs and going on interviews, this is where your resume comes into place. This is where your history comes into place. This is where all the stuff on the internet comes into place. All the activities you've been doing, all the speeches you've been giving, all that great stuff. You need that to prove the belief, but you don't get in the door if they don't like you. And then once you have these 3, you've already made the sale. They've already bought you right here. They like you, they trust you, they believe you. Now you're just kind of waiting for a want or a need. And once you have that, it creates something special. That desire to work with you. This is what happens when you're on a sales call or you're on a job interview or you're on a first date or you're something and all of a sudden, it wouldn't work with a first date. It's a job. Sometimes the position's filled. You know, I'm sorry, we all took care of it. But hold on. Let me find something else for you. I'm already dating somebody, but let me find something else for you. Let me see if we got it. You know, they have that desire to do business with you. This is the same thing. It's the same thing with it's the lemonade stand. Why did you do for the lemonade stand? Not because you were dying of thirst, for crying out loud. You were there because it made you feel good to help out those people. By the way, no lawyers, just ever. In 1994, I came here to Georgia to visit a friend. And it was a great place. I'm from New Jersey. I came here to Georgia. I'm like, oh, my God, these people are nice here. This is awesome. Takes me to a party, meet some girl. Blonde hair. Southern accent. Bakes pies. I'm thinking, this place is great. I went back home. I moved here 2 weeks later. Asked the girl to go out with me. She says, no. I'm like, I moved here. What do you mean no? And so every week for 6 months, I asked the girl, you want to go out there? No, I got a boyfriend. And I asked her out the next week, go out, I got a boyfriend. Finally, after 6 months, she agreed to go to a Met game with me, a Brave game, whatever. And 22 years later, we got 2 kids, and I've yet to have a bad day here. I love it because one day she said yes. By the way, hasn't baked a pie since, I'll tell you that. But I asked her. I said, Chach, I call her Chach. I said, Chach, why did you finally relent? Why did you finally give in after this whole thing? And she said something that was great, and I actually remembered it. She said, I figured if you were willing to work this hard to get me, you'd be willing to work equally as hard to keep me. She believed me. She believed me. She trusted that I was the guy that I was portraying, and she kind of liked me. You can get that too. It's the way you act that makes it happen. When I graduated high school, I took all my college money somehow and I bought a butcher shop. It's a traditional approach that everybody does. I took that. They saved it. It was terrible. My mother's head is still in the oven. It's a horrible thing for her. But instead of going to college, I bought myself a butcher shop. I turned it into a deli, DJ's Country Deli. Had it for years. It was a great place. It helped me grow. I learned how to run business. It was an awesome thing. But when I first got it, this is me. I kind of have energy. I'm not quite like Michael, but I'm up there. And I'm there and I'm rocking and rolling. And I had a guy who came in the afternoon and he said, Deej, listen, I like you. You're a nice guy. It's a nice place. I think you're going to do well. He goes, you drive me freaking crazy in the morning. I can't come in. You know, you're too much. I just want a cup of coffee. I don't want a song and dance. And here I am doing a song and dance. So I calmed down a little bit, which is what I did. And then my dad comes to me, and this is my dad. He was much younger, obviously. My dad, I'm not going to do this. My dad died. There, boom, it's out. Now I can talk. So he went to about 6th grade, my father. And he was an immigrant, a little Jewish immigrant guy from France. And he came over, and he only went to 6th grade, but he would give me some advice. Not a lot, because he didn't know a lot. But the stuff that he gave me was good stuff. And so my dad said to me, he comes to me, and I'm there in the store, and I'm kind of lull. I'm not my normal self. And he goes, Danny, I'll talk in this little accent. He says, Danny, qu'est-ce que tu fais? What are you doing? Where's my son? That's basically what he said. Told him the story. Guy came in. You know, I'm trying to change it. I want these customers. And my dad gave me this little advice. And I'll give it to you if that's okay. He said, Danny, your customers, your employees, and your friends will become a reflection of yourself. He said, be yourself. If not, you'll wind up at 50 years old surrounded by a bunch of people you don't like and don't like you. And that's no way to live. Huh? Is that good? And he's right. And I'm saying, don't be like me. You don't want to be me. You want to be you. Anybody heard of this guy? Vilfredo Federico Damaso Pareto. Pareto, is that good? Basically, he goes by the Pareto principle. You've heard of the 80-20 rule. Ever heard of the 80-20 rule? Yeah, it works for everything. 80% of your effort gets you 20% of your customers. 20% of your customers will give you 80% of your revenue. It works for everything. I've always been about 70-30. You know, 30% of the people that I meet just don't dig my program. You know, I'm too loud, I'm too obnoxious, whatever it is. So if you kind of like me, you know, look to your right and look to your left. One of them doesn't. You know, those are my odds, okay? But here's the thing. Who do you think I do business with? Yeah, the 70% that do. I don't care about the 30% that don't. The 30% knows nothing. 30% is those. Somebody was talking earlier about going to an interview and asking for a job and worried, you know, what are they going to do? Say no. Who cares? Who cares? They decide to buy or sell for their own reasons, not you. They just don't like you. Some people just don't like you. It happens. But most will if you be yourself. Got it? All right, so let me tell you the secret on how to get people to like you almost instantly. Has anyone ever been to one of these places, Planet Smoothie? You've been there? Okay, it's a smoothie place. This one's at the mall. It's at North Point Mall. And you know how they give out samples? I go around samples. I love samples. Ain't nothing out. You know what I call samples at the mall? Lunch. That's it. I just keep going around and around and around. I love that place. I never buy because I'm a cheap bastard. But I go there and I like the samples. So I go there and I see this gal. Her name is Rachel. Took a picture of her. This is the coolest thing. She's giving out samples. Do you see those 2 dots? You know what those are? Those are eyeballs from the little smiley face that she puts on the cups. She's got this beautiful smile. She's very welcoming. You go there. She gives you a cup with a smiley face on it. I take the cup. I drink it. You know what tasted better? I bought the smoothie. And I'm watching other people go ahead. They look at the samples. They look at the cup. What do you think they do when they look at the cup? At the cup. They're smiling at the cup. And they say it tastes better than buy. I talked to the manager. The manager told me when Rachel hands out samples, sales go up 20%. You know what I learned from that? Smiling will make you money. And it's free. And it's not like you can't be in a bed. You need to be in a good mood to smile. You can just do it. You can't do it. Jim Rohn said it best. He says, work on your job and you'll make a living. Work on yourself and you can earn a fortune. You're not worrying about other things, how you're going to transform to other people. You can affect the lives of others just by smiling at them. And don't be in a good, if you're not in a good mood, just fake it. Who cares? They'll never know. Watch, you can't even You can't even do it. It's not the smile, the mood that makes the smile. It's the smile. Okay, on the count of 3, I'm going to ask you all to do something. I want you to smile, all of you. I mean, but big time, like you're trying to get your ears wet. I mean, all over the place. I want you to smile like you're trying to eat a banana sideways. And while you're doing it, I'm going to ask you to do something while you're smiling. Got it? Can you do that? Say yes. All right. 1, 2, 3, go. Now, be in a bad mood. You can't do it. You just can't do it. Nobody can. Nobody can. You could even fake yourself out to be in a good mood. You believe me? Say yes. Yes. All right. Here's something. It wasn't me that made this up. It's a big dog right here. Look at this. Ben Franklin. The more you shall smile, the better you shall become. Actually, that wasn't me, but it looks so much more. It looks so much more impressive when you say Ben Franklin did it, don't you? That's a secret. If you ever want to look important, just say something and say, Ben Franklin said it. You know. Those are my kids. Are they not the cutest thing? Don't you want to kill yourself? I know. Look at that. So that's Matthew. That's my boy. This is Sophie Bell. This is, of course, many years ago. But Matthew taught me a big lesson, and I'll share it with you. Matthew, when he was about 11 years old, we figured out he has dyslexia like you read about. I mean, big time. Everything's spinning upside down, backwards, you know, the and, same word. Everything's great. And his brain doesn't work at certain times. So I'm doing homework with him at 4 in the morning. He's 11 years old. Doing homework with him at 4 in the morning because that's when his brain works. 8 o'clock at night, but at 4 in the morning, he's ready to rock and roll. We're suffering over this homework. And he looks up at me. It was like one of these defining moments. He looks up and he says, Daddy, he says, I'll give you 12 years, but I am not going to college. He decided then at 11 years old. And I said, all right, boy, what are you going to do? He says, well, I'm going to start a business. As luck would have it, about a week or so later, we had one of these terrific storms in the neighborhood. Trees were down, carpet in the streets, people milling about. And so we were milling about the neighborhood as well. And Matthew's there, and he sees the carpet, and he looks at me, and he says, Daddy, I bet you they pay us $100 to take that to the dump. Next thing I know, I got a load of carpet in the back of my truck. He knocked on doors. We're going to the dump, and he's got $100. I watched him create a business in his head. And we came back, and he made flyers, and he would go around the neighborhood. I follow him like a big dope, and I'm following him around there, and he's knocking on doors, and he takes like a chair or an old table, or some people have a lawnmower on the side of the house. Have you ever seen that? The lawnmower is made out of metal. He takes that to the recycling place and gets paid again. His first day out, the boy made $250 before the recycling. He's 11. I'm blown away by this. And I said, Matthew, how do you do this? And only as an 11-year-old can, he looks at me and he says, Daddy, you don't understand. I said, okay, boy, enlighten me. He says, you think these people are giving me their old chairs and tables and lawnmowers because they need to get rid of their old chairs and tables and lawnmowers? I'm like, duh. He says, no, Daddy. He says, they're giving me these things because it makes them feel good to do business with an 11-year-old. That little bastard. You see, because he innately knows his value. So my question to you is, do you know yours? Because I promise you, it's not your skills that you've established or not the education you've gotten in school. It's the way you can relate to others instantly and engage with them. Make sense? He said one other thing. He said, Dad, I got like 2 years left of cuteness and it's over. You know? But it's not true. He kept up the business. This is the kids again. They're a little bit older here. What she's doing with an axe, I don't know. This is another picture of him doing it. Max, you actually did graduate. That's them now a little bit grown up. And by the way, if you'd like to applaud, he did go to college this year, Kennesaw State University. He lasted 1 day. Actually, it wasn't even 1 day. It was till 11:30. At 11:30, he took 2 classes. He left in the middle of the second one. He went to the administration office, withdrew from school. Withdrew from school, calls me up on the phone, best line ever. Daddy, you knew I was going to quit eventually. Why don't we do it now? Why don't we do it now? Is this a salesman? Why don't we do it now and save the money? And then my son, who I tried terribly not to let him follow in my footsteps, went out and took his college money and started a business. By the way, that truck and trailer, which cost tens of thousands of dollars, he paid for in cash with the money he had earned in high school in that little business that he started when he's 11, and he still can't read well. Don't tell me you can't do this. Don't tell me you can't succeed. It's impossible. You believe me? Say yes. All right. Everyone's in sales. Raise your hands if you're in sales. Raise your hands if you're married. You're all in sales. You kidding me? And I'll tell you when it started. You were 3 years old and it sounded just like this. I want some ice cream. 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 You know what that's called, by the way, in sales terms? Follow-up. That's what it is. It's a total follow-up, all right? But if you think about, what do you think her closing ratio is? It's 100%. Even if she dropped her ice cream, you'd buy her another one. It's like 200%. You know why? Because she has something that is so irresistible, you can't not be attracted to it, and that's passion. It's the whole passion. When you really want something, people can feel it in their bones. They can feel it from across the street. And they can't do without it. They need it. Sales is not this. Remember this guy? This is what my mother thinks sales is. My mother is she hates the fact that I'm a salesman. It's the worst thing ever. If you were to ask her right now, if you'd meet her in a party and say, hey, how's Danny doing? Oh, he's fine. You know him. He's in between jobs. You know, she would never tell anybody that I'm actually in sales. Herb Tarlick. Now, listen, you all are. I don't care if you're a truck driver, if you're in human resources, or the guy who changes the gasket on this thing. You know what this is called, by the way? You know what this is? This is actually an RV LP propane regulator dual take automatic changeover valve. Boom! Think of that. You know how I know that? I did a presentation for this company, Davis Standard or Standard Davis, I don't know, and they manufacture these things. So prior to the presentation, I wanted them to think that I had done some research. So I found out this was, and so in the process of my conversation with them, I said, listen, everyone's a salesman. I don't care if you're a truck driver in human resources or a guy who puts a gasket on this thing, which of course we all know is an RVLP propane regulated dual take automatic changeover valve. Boom. And then some guy in the back of the room, he looks at me, he goes, you know, that particular unit, you don't need to change the gasket. You know, ruined my entire thing. But do you think for 1 second that maybe they thought that I had done a little research? That maybe they thought that I cared a little bit about them. Maybe they thought that I customized my presentation for them. And do you think maybe they liked me a little bit more because of it? Here's one you need to write down. The more you know about them, the more they like you. And remember this, it all starts with what? Like. It all starts with like. This is your ticket to get in. All right, I'm going to finish with this. I have in 1987, 88, I had my deli for about 4 years. It was doing well. I set it up with a manager, and I decided to do something that I had always wanted to do. And I said, I'm going to go and hitchhike around the country. And it was forced upon me because one day I was outside sweeping my store. Do you know who this is? You know who this is? Oh, gosh, that was so close. Mr. Whipple is a great call. Mr. Hooper. This is Mr. Hooper from Sesame Street over here. This is Mr. Hooper from Sesame Street. And his main job, apparently on Sesame Street, was to sweep out front his store. That's all he did. So one day, I'm 22 years old. I'm, muscles. I think I'm a stud, all this stuff. By the way, I hate speaking after guys that are better looking than me, I'm not looking at you. Okay, so I'm sweeping out front my store, and some guy's driving by, and I think I'm a tough guy, and he goes, hey, Mr. Hooper. He called me Mr. Hooper. I'm 21 years old, and now I'm this. You know, nightmare. I said, this is crazy. So I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go on this hitchhiking trip, and I'm going to do it right. I'm going to take no money. I'm just going to take jobs along the way. I'm going to meet 1 million people. I'm going to learn. And I've learned skills on that trip that I still use today, and I'm going to share with you to get that instant rapport. Because you got to get picked up. I'm lying a little bit. I did buy a $300 train pass. The train pass gave me 3 stopovers around the country. You could use it in 1 year. I zipped through it pretty quickly. But after that, no money, stop in places, get jobs all the way. So, first thing you have to realize as a hitchhiker, as a salesperson, as a human, there's a very fine line between a hitchhiker and a big idiot on the side of the road with his thumb hanging out. There's a very fine line with someone looking for a job and somebody sitting at home putzing around on their computer. There's a very fine line between someone who's really creating facilitation training classes and someone who's just talking about it. Very fine line. What you need is a customer. A customer. You need to get picked up. That's your goal as a hitchhiker. Get picked up. And if you want to get picked up, what do you think you have to do? Where do you think you have to go? Someone say something. Where the people are. If you want to get a job, you go where the jobs are. If you want to get a customer, you go where the customers are. See, and you got to know that. See, these guys, morons. Look at them. Cars are going one way. Their thumbs are going the other way. Who's going to pick these people up? They're nowhere around, you know? But that's what people do throughout life. I want to do this one job. Boom. And you stand around waiting for people. Listen, success doesn't find you when you're sitting around for it, studying it. Success catches you while you're on your way. Success will grab onto you and get going. So put yourself in that position. So here's I am. The first thing I have to realize is I got to pick up. So I go to the right place. Where's the right place? I see these people on, what's that big highway, 285 around here? You see people hitchhiking on 285? Dummies. Who's going to stop? You're driving 55,000 miles an hour. Who the heck is going to stop? If you want to get picked up, you go on the on-ramp. So here I am on the on-ramp. You move up this way. If you get to the on-ramp and you don't get picked up, what do you think you have to do? You go right back down because you are appearing needy at this point. When I say the word hitchhiker, what's the first word you think of? Yeah, murder. That was good. Most people say bum, but murderer, you go right to it. That's very nice. Yeah, you think of a bum. Whatever it is, you know the person's going to smell. You automatically don't want to pick up a hitchhiker. So you got to change the way you look. So I went out and got myself a backpack. And so here I am, and I dressed in army fatigue. So I had army pants, I had my shirt tucked in, I had my hair cut short, I had a backpack, and I was on the on-ramp. I automatically changed my whole demeanor from a bum or a murderer. Now I'm a traveler. Hey, listen, I appreciate the comments, but I work alone, huh? I'll take the jokes. Stick with it. Yeah, so I changed from a bum to a traveler, just like that. Then you got to do it extra notch. When you're looking for a job, when you're making a sale, you want to be a little extra. You want to get them to believe you. You want your resume to look great. You want your company products to look great. You want to have that kind of information. So what I did is I went to a pawn shop. Everybody ever been to a pawn shop? Love pawn. Talk about working your negotiation skills. You got to hang out at pawn shops. And I went to a pawn shop and I bought myself a guitar case. I couldn't, it's much cheaper and has the same effect. And so here I am on the side of the road. I got my hair short, my shirt tucked in. I'm wearing army fatigues. I got my backpack, got my guitar case, and I'm walking up the on-ramp, and I changed myself from a bum to a traveler. Now I'm an artist. I mean, what's more harmless than an artist? There's virtually no risk in picking up an artist. What are they going to do, sing to you? You know? So here I am. Then you got to kick it up an extra notch because you got to get them to like you immediately. So here I am on the on-ramp just like this. I got my shirt tucked in, my hair short. I got my backpack. I got my guitar case. I'm walking up the on-ramp and I'm looking at somebody straight in the eyes. Can you hook me up? And I changed from a bum to a traveler to an artist. Now I'm just like your brother. Just need some help. Hook me up. What do you say? I'm telling you, After the third week, I didn't have to stick out my thumb. I was good. I'd have people pick me up, take me to their homes, and feed me. I was good. I had them take me to their homes, get me jobs, take me to truck stops, wait there for other people to pick me up after that, give me their daughters. I was good. Nothing from that? What's wrong with this crew? But I'm telling you, the reason why it happened is because I was looking at them at a personal level. And they weren't picking me up because they were trying to take me somewhere. They were trying to pick me up because it made them feel good about themselves to do it. That's how you get to people like you. Now, it didn't hurt that this was my competition. Don't get me wrong. But I promise you, with these skills and the human relation skills that you have now and the way you're going to greet people with a smile and enthusiasm and think about them first and what their needs are before yourself, I promise you, this is your competition too. You have nothing to lose. I wish nothing but good things to happen to the rest of you, all of you, for the rest of your lives. I want you to eat well, live long, make lots of babies, prosper. But above all else, remember this. I'm the Deej. Thank you very much.